So I don't know how to start this video, but I just saw the news today about this 9-year-old school student, and she jumped from the fourth floor. And today I want to actually take this time to talk about why I think the Indian education system it's failing its students um, in a big way. Now, if you don't know about me, my profession. I'm a teacher. I'm a certified teacher, and I have taught in public schools, in various public schools in Vietnam for over 5 years. I've taught primary students. I've taught high school students, and of course, I did a lot of substitute teaching. So by profession, I'm a teacher, and as a teacher, I really felt that it's my responsibility to talk about this topic because it's really sad. And I just finished my dinner, and I just thought of making this video and apologize if I'm going to be coughing a bit or something because I just had my dinner. But I really want to talk about this topic. Um, Firstly, um, I have been exposed to the Indian education system right from from class one to grade 10, right? And of course, I did. Then I of course I went to do my U.S. studies, right? But yes, I have been exposed to the Indian education system from grade one to grade 10, and of course I studied. I was in an Indian embassy school outside India in Russia. I won't name the school, but it was a government-run school. Um, and yes, it was very difficult for me. It was very, very challenging for me because like I have been exposed to teachers slapping me around. And I think when I was in grade five, um, and I've seen all the hell. I mean, I've seen all the hell in that government school. Uh, and it's a sad reality that most of the teachers who were teaching in that government school were not properly vetted, and then they would be coming to this Indian embassy school and teaching students, and of course we also had a lot of African students, Nigerian students, because they thought that paying for an Indian school for their children is cheaper compared to sending their children to international schools or whatever. But I've had my share of horror in the Indian education system and how it's so much rigged. Um, I was also exposed to a lot of bullying when I was in, I think when I was in grade 7, grade 8, and it went on. Like bunch of these guys, my classmates, they would always throw stuff behind my back, behind my neck. They would wrap up those aluminum foils, throw it, and I've had my share of hell. And one time, one student, he severely hit my forehead with a very solid wrapped up aluminum foil, and I had a very big swelling. I had instances where, when I was in the school bus going home from school to my home, I've had instances where my seniors would put gum in my hair, or just smack me around and all that. This kind of system has happened. I mean, I've been exposed to a lot of bullying, yeah, and this has definitely affected me in a very big way. And I can relate to what that girl. I don't want to name her because I want to respect her privacy. I want to respect her family's privacy, and I really feel sorry for their daughter's loss, right? And I'm not going to be talking about Indian education system is only about reading from textbooks. and then just memorizing and just getting marks. And I'm not going to talk about that. I'm just going to be talking about the mental aspect um, of the children who are studying in this school. Now, from what I could see, now of course I've taught many public schools in Vietnam, and of course I've taught modern public schools where I've used laptops, projectors, and everything. And of course, uh, the schools, especially in Southeast Asia, they are very, very caring towards their students, right? The school management, principal. Usually, when I used to teach in those schools, the principal would be walking around each classroom and treating students like their friends, like their friends, right? The students had very relaxed relationship with the principal. The principal would go and ask the students like, how is the teacher, are you okay? And she would be gelling around with the students. And that unfortunately we don't have in the Indian education system, because when we hear about, oh, the principal, going to the principal's office is as good as being blacklisted or being kicked out of the school, right? This is the mindset out here in the Indian education system. And of course I was also slapped by the principal of my school in the Indian embassy, right? Which we had CBSE course. I was in a government school, right? Most of the students in my school were children of defense parents, right? Army, Navy, Air Force, and of course I was exposed to that government um, discipline in the school, in the Indian embassy, right? But of course, overall, it was a good school, but I don't want to talk about that right now, right? The kind of horrors I went through, the Indian embassy school in Russia, I don't want to talk about that. I want to talk about the footage which I saw, right? And let me tell you one thing. I've taught in Vietnam for over 5 years. I'm a certified teacher. I have a TESOL. I did it offline, and it was very, very rigorous to pass that test, right? So, like, I have an Australian certificate, and of course, I have an American bachelor's degree, and I have a neutral American accent, right? And of course, my family lives in America. But anyways, that's not the point. The point over here is, um, I always treated my students like my friends when I was teaching my students in Southeast Asia. I'm talking about Vietnam. And I would always go around the students and ask them, "Are you guys okay?" And I would just like, if students want to have fun, it's okay. Do a lot of activities. Doing a lot of group activities. Nobody wants to be reading from the book all day, or just listening to a boring lecture. They want to do some activities, move around. Make sure that the students are um, doing group work. When students do group work, I have also encountered some female students who are extremely quiet. They're shy, but as a teacher, it's my responsibility to motivate them, right? And you have also the other students. They will try to motivate her, to feel good, and give more importance to those students who are less participating in the class, who are having trouble in the classroom. And of course, free access for students to come up to me and ask, teacher, he's doing this, and I would immediately go and say, hey, don't do that. Or, teacher, I want to go and drink water. Go ahead, no problem. I want to use the restroom. Please go. I'm not going to be. I'm not that kind of a person who's going to say, no, you cannot go and drink water outside. You can't go to the restroom. The most important characteristic of a teacher is to have a friendly relationship with all the students, which unfortunately most of the schools in India don't, because when we hear of teacher, and like I said, my bad experience with the government school, which I was exposed to, the teachers, it was very common for them to slap students, to beat them with sticks, kick around. I don't want to get into the details, right? But those were the kind of teachers who were going to the school overseas to teach students, right? Anyways, but from what I could see is that the classroom, from the footage which I saw in the news, right? The classroom looked pretty modern. I'm pretty sure. It was, they had the teacher. I mean, they have some, I think, PowerPoint, some touch screen or whatever. And I don't know who was the other teacher. Maybe she was the main teacher, right? Or maybe she was the homeroom teacher, because that's what you have in Thailand, a homeroom teacher who takes care of the classroom, right? So, so talking about this girl, I think she was pretty much mentally pressurized. She was being bullied on a daily basis, by those other children, students. Now, firstly, I wouldn't be blaming those students because they're still kids. It's the responsibility of the teacher to make sure that those students are disciplined in a very um, professional way to understand that this is wrong. You should not bully anyone, and that helps when the student is growing up. Um, so I think it was the huge responsibility, the failure of the homeroom teacher, or and the failure of the principal to go around the classroom to see if all the students are doing fine, if they don't have any difficulties. And I don't understand, like, unlike other, like in Vietnam and even schools in Thailand, they have counseling sessions, right? Why can't most of the schools here in India have a counseling department in each school where the teachers can, the special, where the students have, if they have some emotional problem, if they are going through some stress or some mental or some bullying or something, and if they can go freely walk up to these counseling departments in these schools and talk to the counselor, the teacher counselor, right? I mean, sorry, forgive my language, fuck the parents teachers meeting, like, I remember, like, uh, in the Indian school, my father and mother were being called by the teachers for parents teachers meeting, and the teacher would say, oh, your son is done very bad in Hindi, he's failing, or in mathematics, because these are my weak subjects, right? Whatever, he's doing very bad. And it's just this psychologically, um, put this on to the parents that your son is doing very bad in the classroom, there's no future for him in life. This is the kind, this is, these parents teachers meetings, instead of the teachers saying that your son has not done well in the exam, but if you want, I can take some extra classes to help him out or help her out, right? I mean, why can't this happen, right? In parents teachers meeting, oh, your daughter is too noisy, or it's just, I don't understand the point of parents teachers meeting out here in India, knowing that, and I'm pretty sure that this girl's parents uh, had a lot of parents teachers meeting in this school, but did it really avoid this disaster of her going up and jumping off from the school balcony, right? Knowing that this girl was very scared of heights and everything. I mean, something must have emotionally pushed her to just end herself. It's such a shame, like, I don't understand the point of these parents teachers meeting, talking about grades, marks, and everything. But there should be student counselor counseling departments in all these Indian schools, in all these public schools, private schools in India. There should be principals of these schools should go around each classroom, and should talk to each student, move around, have that friendly relationship. Students in these schools should feel very comfortable to approach the principal and talk if they have some issue. No, and if his or her teacher is not understanding or whatever. I'm pretty sure that schools in India also have teacher evaluation matrix, which I had to go through because the principal of my schools, because I've taught many public schools, but the principal and the principals of my schools would come and sit in the class for 1 hour, and they would sit behind, but they would watch me how I teach the students, how I'm engaging with the students, what kind of activities I'm doing. You know, do you have this here in Indian schools? I mean, you have these performance matrix of the teachers, and the shocking part is you have a CCTV camera. That girl was visibly very disturbed after those bunch of boys bullied her. She wanted to go and address the problem, but the teachers just like blindfolded, no, and shouted at her. No, I mean, what the fuck is this? I mean, this is what. Sorry, I digress. Forgive my language, but really, where is the Indian education going, and why is it lagging behind other education systems compared to Southeast Asia, where it's more advanced? They understand, like if it's schools in Thailand, schools in Vietnam, they give more focus, emphasis on the students. Like for us foreign teachers who teach over there, the students are number one priority. Each and every student is number one priority. We don't say like, oh, okay, that student has problem. I don't want to, because I know at the end of the day I'm being evaluated. There are CCTV cameras. I'm being evaluated. There are monthly evaluations of how teachers are teaching in the classroom, how they are behaving with the students. Um, you know, Trying to see if any student has some emotional stress. I've had instances. I've had interaction with a student, with a couple of students, where their parents have a lot of conflicts, and the child is visibly disturbed, and it is my responsibility to address that to the school committee, right? Because of course I'm not a Vietnamese, but I have to address this to my teaching assistant, and then she will also address that to the principal, right? To make sure that the child is psychologically um, fine to come to school, right? And she's not going through stress or whatever. And of course, in Western countries, in America, in Western countries, in Europe, students are given a lot of, each and every student are given a lot of emphasis, right? Are they going through any mental pressure? There are student councils. It's very professional, you know. And the environment between the teacher and the students is like a very friendly environment. Not like in this video which I saw, where that poor girl went up to the homeroom teacher trying to address the problem, but that teacher, she was like, she didn't give a fuck. You go and sit down. And she did that multiple times. This is not one instance. Nobody would fucking do this shit if it's done one time. It's been going on for many months. Now I don't know if this girl had addressed this issue to her parents. Um, I don't know about that, but these are red flags that that she is being abused, and this is and our final outcome would not be good for her. It's shocking, and it's not the first time. I think ever since I've come out here, I've also heard of one more student who, I think, one more female student who jumped, or a boy student who jumped off from the school building. So I think I think this needs to be taken very seriously. I think the Indian education system should stop giving a blind eye and should really emphasize all the cities across India, all the tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 cities all across. There should be a complete enforcement of stringent um, teaching, stringent laws to prevent any student doing this. Today she did it. Maybe after a few months, or or after a few weeks, you'll hear about one more student jumping off from the school building. So I think the education ministry out here in India should seriously focus on this, because as a teacher, I feel very heartbroken to hear about these stories. It's just pathetic. It's pathetic, completely a disgrace. The broken education system. Like I said, I'm not going to be talking about students in India are forced to memorize and then vomit out when they're writing these exams, and they don't have practical thinking. Because when I did my American education system, I had a complete 360 degree. We were more into case studies, group activities, um, you know, um, um, doing projects, doing case studies, presentations, using these kind of things. We should have more in the school. You should have more student counseling in each of these schools. There should be a student council department for any public or private school in India, and it should be not favoring any teacher. It should be focusing solely on the student's concern. If the student has a problem with the teacher, or if the student has a problem with her classmates who are bullying her or whatever, she should feel free to go up to the student council and talk about this, and it should be resolved there and there. And it should be also the responsibility of the principal of these schools to move around each classroom and talk to each of these students in a friendly manner and see if they are having any issues or not. If the student is having some issues, then that should be addressed to the parents right away. I don't want to see any other student falling off from the building. This was an act of desperation. She needed help. She was trapped mentally. It's really sad. Um, I mean, it really needs to change now. We talk about, the Indian education system has failed us. Why the Indian education is this? I keep on seeing all these YouTube videos and everything, but where is the implementation? What is the Indian education system doing about this? Where is the implementation? For the first priority should be about the mental well-being of the students, the mental well-being of the students, right? So yeah, I mean, you let me know down in the thoughts. You let me know down in the comment section below. And of course, if you're a troll and if you're going to be just trying to, try to fuck me over with this video, screw you. You're a low piece of shit. You're a low life. Uh, but like I said, my channel is straight up, no BS. When it comes to these kind of situations, I have to talk about this. I mean, as a teacher, um, it's I'm not going to be quiet regarding this, right? So it's a sad story, and I really feel sad for the parents, and I really hope that the Indian education system, the Indian education body enforces the Supreme Court of India or whatever. They enforce this heavy rule, so that each and every teacher who teaches in these schools, they have this in the back of their mind that we need to put more focus on each and every student. And if any student has any concern, that should be the highest priority. That should be sorted out. That should be addressed to the parents. Not like, just telling that girl, go and sit down, or, repeatedly. She should fucking lose her job. She should lose her teaching license. The principal, she should lose the license of running that school. I don't care how modern it is, or what kind of, modern facilities, which look quite modern to me, and it's a shocking part. The problem is that with the Indian education system is that now we come with all these modern schools and try to show off that, wow, we have modern facilities and everything. But what about the um, internal structure, right? I'm talking about the teaching style, the address, trying to the student council, trying to understand if the students are all doing fine in the classroom. Are they understanding? Not like this shittiness which I used to have in Indian school. We never understood, but we would say yes, ma'am, I understood. But then we would be failing in the exams. Fucking hell. Anyways, I got to end this video right now. I don't want to make it too long, but yeah, it's very disturbing, and I think I'll upload it tomorrow because it's too late right now. I need to talk to my father. He's it's afternoon time over there in the U.S. Yeah, just sick, pathetic. Um, yeah, I'm ending this right now.